It's the year 2026. Anti-Semitism is on the rise for no discernible reason.
And I see all children as precious and equal. My deep care for children doesn't stop at any border. And I saw these human rights violations, and I had to speak up.
Anti-Semite! Whoa! 2 weeks later.
The Lord Humongous, the Ayatollah of Rock and Roller!
Again you disappoint me, people of Gastown. Holding big fat tanks of gasoline, all for yourselves.
Wait! This is a scientific outpost!
Wait, what, really?
We're studying the electric universe model of cosmology and how it explains everything from the galactic down to the molecular.
I am a
I'm a huge fan. I have so many questions.
So yeah, well, let's talk about these molecules and stuff.
Right. So I was just sitting today, thinking about Gerald Pollack's paper about how we don't breathe oxygen. I mean, we literally breathe oxygen, but the thing that gives us the stuff that we need to live are the electrons. It's not the oxygen molecule, because the oxygen molecule is too big to pass through the tiniest little pores inside of our system. But the electrons are plenty small enough. And so I started thinking about that in terms of fire, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, is fire, is it because of oxygen or is it because of electrons? And I realized I came up with 3 different instances where it's electrons. You've got fires in outer space, like the rockets that NASA uses. I've studied the actual fuel systems, and they use a perchlorate, and a perchlorate is a chemical that carries with it its own oxygen. But the reason they use perchlorates is because perchlorates shed their electrons very easily. I'm thinking, wait a minute, is it the oxygen or is it the electrons? Realizing it's the electrons. And then you have underwater welding. There's and then I've done my own experiment with striking an arc inside a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Is it the electrons or is it oxygen? Pretty sure
it's not a vacuum, that's for sure.
Yeah, right. So that's cool.
So
if electrons are what
fuels fire,
and us and everything,
and yeah, okay, that's weird.
I know, electrons seem to be the answer, but there's so many ways we could go with this, Matt. I mean, wow.
Okay, so let's start.
When the electrons move, if here's your atom and an electron comes in for whatever reason, it doesn't matter what the reason is. If it comes in and hits the valence, let's say the valence shell is out here, hits that valence shell, there's going to be reverberations all the way down the shells, and this thing is going to vibrate. But we already know that that's happening. We already know that the nucleus is vibrating. And how do we know that? Well, we know that 2 ways. Brownian motion tells us that there's always vibration. And number 2, these aren't little particles. These electrons aren't particles. These are waves. And to think that the waves are just, passing through each other and interfering with each other, of course they are. Mm-hmm. Of course they are. So you have an electron wave coming into another atom, passing through it, going through it, just like what you see on the surface of a river or a lake or a reservoir. You just see all these waves mixing and mingling, and sometimes they work together, sometimes they work against each other. That's what's happening with our atoms. All atoms, everywhere. And the significance of that, I think, cannot be highly, what's the word I'm trying to find? It can't be wow, words have just fled from my mouth and my brain.
Pressed
can't
enough.
be highly emphasized enough.
Okay, there you go.
Wow, goodness sakes. Thank you.
So,
what time is it? Oh, I just realized it's time for my meds. Yay, me.
So I've heard this vague statement that everything is sound and vibration.
I like that.
Everything vibrates.
I don't really understand what that means, but supposedly everything vibrates. So I'm playing with my daughter, and I get the idea, looking at her magnetic blocks, that she wants to put them away one block at a time. Nothing can be like stuck to one another. That's just how she is. So we do that, and then I'm looking at the box, and I think order from chaos, and I shake the box. And as you shake the box, all the places where there's a weakened attachment get knocked loose, and all the places where there's the strongest attachment connect, and you wind up with, the more you shake it, the more order forms. And I get to thinking, well, maybe what brings order out of chaos is the electric force. And then I'm thinking about your and Ito's theories. I know they're not exactly...
You mean the magnetic force? Yeah.
Yeah, magnetic force. But at different scales. Yes. So I'm thinking about your clump of steelies, where the north is painted white and the south, or well, positive and negative are painted black respectively. And when they clump together, you get islands of charge. Like on this side, maybe there's one positive face sticking out, but on this side, there's three. And so we imagine if you take a whole bunch of these clumps of little clumps of magnetic spheres, and you throw them together and you vibrate them. If you don't vibrate them hard enough, they'll clump together, but maybe they'll get clumped up in a bad way because the weaker parts are sticking together. But if you shake them at the right frequency, they'll break loose from the weak connections, and only the strong connections will stick.
Sure.
And those will into form.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and when they're in space, they're vibrating too much. It's too energetic. So even the strong parts are blasted apart. They can't clump up. But once they enter the Earth, they're refined by the vibration of the Earth, the 430 hertz or whatever it is. And then they stick properly, and we get the forms of nature flowing around us. And each one of those is probably following some sort of filament up through our Earth's spherical capacitor from one double layer to the next, and the matter is being vibrated along that flow of plasma and forming the shapes depending on what kind of molecule it is.
I think you've married two different concepts. I think you can have the vibration happen everywhere, in space, in different parts of space, in the atmosphere, in different layers of the atmosphere, on the Earth. And yes, some of those areas are going to be more conducive to not being shaken to death. Absolutely. But so you take that aside and say, yes, that happens, and yes, that's real. And then you take the idea of the filaments that we talked about before, how the Earth has a plasmoid at the center, and just like a plasma ball, it shoots out filaments, or there are filaments coming out from the center of the Earth that touch the surface of the Earth, and those molecules or those atoms are influenced by those filaments and either shake apart or form better, stronger unions. And who knows what they actually do when they touch. I mean, those touch points where if there are filaments reaching out, those could be the areas of high strangeness.
Yes.
Or those could be like lures, like Skinwalker Ranch, like hauntings. I mean, who knows?
The Vortex House, yeah.
Vortex House, exactly. It could be that, or it could be those are just nothing and we don't notice them at all.
And I really like the idea of filaments, and I think this is something that no one's really breached before. So when you have a comet entering the solar system,
when it forms those tails,
they're pointed at the sun,
or they're pointed back out toward the heliosphere, or they're pointed toward other planets. What if those are just glow mode plasma, the glow mode plasma end of a filament that quickly goes into dark mode? You lose sight of it. But I'll bet you, if you track the moment every comet starts to shed a coma, I'll bet you'll find something happening on the sun at the exact same time, or a planet if it's an anti-tail, like pointed at Saturn or something like that. I'll bet you'll see.
That would be really cool if we could measure that somehow, find that out.
Yeah,
Because
you're
right. That ties in with the idea that Steve Smith talked about, how when lightning strikes on Jupiter and Saturn, we hear it in our ionosphere. Our ionosphere rings
like a bell, yeah.
like a bell.
So, which makes a lot of sense if there's an ether of some sort, even if that's of ions.
Just a little.
Yeah,
I'm still geeking out over Grusnik. Sorry, I'll get his name right. Wow, thanks for that burp. Grusnik's video showing the ether.
Oh, I haven't seen.
Wow, another burp. Sorry about that.
Like
the device that spins in the vertical pattern. I showed you that. That was on the text. Wow, 3 in a row. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, I saw the text. I don't think I watched the video though. I think it was a Snapchat thing. I'm not.
Oh,
but
no, it's on YouTube. Just type in ether proven Grusnik, Grusenick.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I think that the ether is proven just by the fact that we see filaments everywhere. I'm really kind of embracing this idea that space is no different than a plasma ball where you put your finger on the glass and the filaments stick to it. I think anytime any kind of matter comes near the sun, there's going to be a filament that sticks to it, and we see the ends of it. And I think that's a great way for them to transfer ions back and forth. But also, when you just think about a filament, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's the most efficient way that nature moves energy.
It is. Nature doesn't do. Yes, Matt, you're absolutely right. Nature doesn't do things the hard way. That's the stupid hubris that humans do when we create standard model. We keep saying, nature, you need to do things this way with dark energy and dark matter and strong force and weak force.
Okay, and on that,
none of that. Nature does things. It can't not do things the most efficient, easy way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's self-organizing, so
that's like asking a magnet. That's like holding 2 magnets right here and saying, "Hey, Mr. Magnet here on the right side, I want you to attract something way over there on the other side of the room before you attract this guy." I mean, there's no in no universe that we know of is this magnet going to go whoop? It's going to go whoop.
So if filaments form in order to move ions
or plasma through energy, right? They're moving plasma through energy, or through whatever they're moving.
They move. That's what happens. That's a consequence. It's not like cause and effect. That's just it's a consequence.
The plasma's going right because it's charged. So you have
plasma chasing plasma through double layers, and it's pointed forwards, and then the right-hand rule makes it curve around, so it's always being pushed forward. But I suspect if there was no medium, it wouldn't filament. It would just go straight.
Right. How could it not? It makes no sense that there is no medium.
Through something. And that's why I was saying when you look at like dust devil, the dust devil is going through our atmosphere, which is
fairly thick, but they're pretty loose curls. If you go to a water
spout, it's underwater, like a whirlpool.
Very tight curls because it's moving through a thick medium, right? It's like when you walk up a hill, you do switchbacks. It makes it easier. So
the energy is, the thicker the medium, it seems to me, the tighter the filament. So if you're in space, we see long, loose, lazy filaments, but they are filaments, which suggests to me that plasma is corkscrewing through something. And it's a thin something, but it's something.
And that's what's so I love that idea, Matt. I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, I just finished doing some experiments where I use my magnetic stirring device to stir vortices in water. In fact, I think that was the catalyst for this conversation.
Yeah.
And when you talk about that, the viscosity of the fluid, you can see different things. The higher the viscosity, the more twisting and torsion you can see in that vortex. But nonetheless, when you look out in space, where the viscosity of the plasma is clearly way reduced, way attenuated, you still see it. You still see the twisting, and you still see the filaments, and they're still there.
Yeah.
And it tells you, like, wait a minute, if we have viscosity and we have a medium clearly in the water example, why don't we have it out there in space with the plasma? We do! We have to! We have to. We may not be able to measure it yet, but we have to. I agree with you, 100%.
Stars are basically just giving off constant ions in the solar wind, so it's filling space with basically space dust. Is that not correct? I mean, isn't that kind of, you could say that's what the ether is, and then when the plasma moves through it, it charges it and gets it flowing along the plasma.
I think the ether is one step down from plasma. Plasma flows, uses the ether to flow. It doesn't mutually concurrently flow through itself, is what you described.
That makes sense.
Right.
Okay, so but on the topic of gravity, because Walt was big into electrogravity, and I know that's a tough one for you.
But I'm thinking about this filament structure, and if we try to visualize it, and we start with the solar system Birkeland current. So the Birkeland current, where it's a garden hose running along, and in the middle of that, like a dime pinching that garden hose, is our solar system with the sun at the center. And each double layer that goes in makes it spin faster, the plasma spin faster, until you get to the middle where that plasma is churning so fast, you get the Z pinch. It must be it's hitting some kind of large gas giant planet that must be what's inside the sun. And because that massive object is providing a Z pinch, it's constricting the plasma down and making it spin faster. And so we have to think about if you have plasma that's spinning through matter. So let's say at the core there's some sort of plasmoid that has formed there. And like a big fan, the braided arms of the plasma spiral are passing through the matter of the planet. You could say the same thing for the Earth or any planet where there's a Birkeland attached to it. And that plasma spinning through the rocky material of the planet seems to me like a good explanation for where gravity might come from. Like the plasma is charging the matter it goes through, and then you've got streams of ions flowing into the planet through the Birkeland current. And then what's happening? You've got centrifugal force from the spin forcing everything back out. So you've got a strong but close range repulsive force, centrifugal force, and you've got the inward force of the Birkeland current, that's where all these ions are coming in from the sun, pushing in on the spherical capacitor of the Earth. So there must be some.
That would mean that we would find aberrations in gravity at the equator or at the ecliptic, whatever that is. Not saying that the equator is the ecliptic, but whatever the ecliptic is, we should find gravity anomalies where gravity is pushing the other way. I'm not sure that we've found that.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Because if you're saying gravity is coming in from the Birkeland currents, like if there's a sphere right here, it's coming in here, but there's a spinning here, and there's an ecliptic right here, wouldn't that mean that the gravity is nullified right there along that ecliptic?
I would think that the Birkeland current would be spinning clockwise around the belt of the equator, wouldn't it?
Since
it could be either way, yes.
We're on the sun's ecliptic. So
but
since
still,
it's come,
if that's what gravity is, if that's what gravity is, you'd still have a yin-yang feature. You would have an input and an output, and I'm not sure that we see that output. That's the thing that I'm troubled with. I'm not saying it's not there. I just don't see it. And maybe that's just my ignorance. Maybe there is output. Maybe there are gravity anomalies. And maybe that's what we're describing, is we're trying to make it too black and white and too simple. Maybe these gravity anomalies are exactly what we're talking about.
Well, you do find gravity anomalies on Earth, for sure.
But isn't it more up by the poles?
That I don't know.
But I like
Let's
that
look
idea.
into that.
If gravity
let's
is
look into that.
electric, if gravity's electric, it seems like you would just suck right
To the Earth, just like a magnet. But if you have this centrifugal force pushing...
Well, what's it pushing out?
Yeah.
Well, it's pushing out...
It's pushing out the matter that it's creating through linear. So all these ions are coming in from the sun.
And they're entering the plasmoid at the core of the Earth, where there's probably linear, and it's probably spraying
all sorts
new
of stuff
over the inside of the Earth, which is probably, and it's probably really hot,
which is why we have magma.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea of a push and a pull force because it kind of explains
Why we're slow to start up when we fall.
Right.
We build speed.
we go.
Yep.
So, yeah. Anyway, I think those are a couple of interesting things to think about.
I especially like the molecule idea where maybe you're not grounded, you're not in the Earth's electric field, you're vibrating with your phone instead of the Earth's electric field, and maybe that vibration isn't enough to shake those weak connections loose. Maybe that's what cancer is. Because now your molecules are forming abnormally because the vibration isn't correct just to get them the strong parts taken for them to grow as they're supposed to.
And what Jerry Tennant has discovered is that cancer is a positively charged group of cells, and so if they're shaking apart, they're not holding on to their negative charge the way they should be. So yes, that could very well be it.
Oh, there you go. In fact, it's a different way to get to the same place.
Different way to get to the same place. Well, it may be exactly how it does that. The vibration just shakes. The negative charge is supposed to be there in the cells.
It could be the vibration itself is the charge.
I know.
What do you think of that?
I know. Well, that goes back to the whole idea that maybe if when you have a toroid, the input on the toroid is the positive charge and the output's the negative. That's that same kind of idea.
When you're looking up in space, you're looking at the molecular structure of something bigger. Call it God,
call it whatever you want. And when you're looking at those galaxies blasting ions out along their streams, those are pushing the next
galaxy away along the Birkeland current, but at the same time,
it's also being pushed from the other side from whatever galaxy is further along, and you get this balance.
Pushing both ways, but also the other ones are pushing. And what it boils down to, it's like you were talking about, it's not that there's negative and positive,
it's that there's more positive compared to whatever you're comparing it to. So
big, powerful star might be pushing
away other ones, and that might be what we would consider negative.
Right. Yeah, it was what I was saying there is that we don't actually measure positive charge. What we measure are electrons, negative charge, and less negative charge. Like none of our devices, none of our multimeters are actually measuring protons. They're measuring less negative charge, less electrons. And we label that as a positive charge.
So what if there's no such thing as, what if there's only stars and the filaments that connect them?
Down at the molecular level too. Maybe in
That would be fun. Everything is stars. Well, I'm going to get you a t-shirt that says everything is stars.
That'd be great.
That would be awesome.
That sounds like a crazy conspiracy. I believe in the Big Bang. No, we go in, we kill, no, we kill. No, there was no Big Bang. It was just a math-based fraud cooked up on Epstein Island.
Now sleep, my dog of war. Sleep.
All right, have a good night, man. See ya.
All right, see you, Ben.
Thanks for listening to the Brainstorm with Sparks and Finn. Hope you learned something new or found some food for thought. If you did, take a second to smash that like and subscribe button. Consider joining our Patreon to help Sparks and I spread the word. And then join us next time as we explore this amazing electric universe. Cheers!